Last video, we set a PB, but as you guys know, we're gonna keep pushing.
Push it real good.
And we found some interesting things that we need to address, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. So this is from that pass. Those of you that are familiar at looking at stuff like this, here's you getting up on the chip. Here's where it's off the 2-step, 3-step for us. And then here's where you launch. Y'all see that dip? We got 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks. I tell you, you're running 4 gears, not us. So why did this dip happen right here? Because this dip is actually what cost us a ton of ET on our 60 foot. Just so you guys can get a little time reference here. I set my 0 point. So what that's gonna do is tell me start the timer right when I let off the trans brake. So right at 0.770 seconds in. So yeah, that's well within your 60 foot. Heel line here is my boost. And the boost goes from 24 pounds down to 22 pounds. Sorry, 21.7 pounds boost. So it was at 24, and it went down to 21.7, and then it went to 30, and then it goes down and kind of starts settling around 25, and then it goes back up 26, kind of holds around 25. But what's up with this? This is not how it needs to be. This needs to be pretty solid. So what's causing this? And that's what I'm gonna show you. We're gonna fix, and then we'll see what happens after that. I'll tell you exactly what's causing this. We lost a ton of momentum from here to here, and then it gained it back because the boost overshot like crazy, and then it shifted, and then it kind of, this is not good. This is not what we're looking for. We need this to be way more stable. We know our turbo can absolutely pour the coals to it if it wants to, but something's going wrong. And that something is called dome pressure. So if you look at the dome pressure here that I just enabled, that little dip down like that is what caused this to lose momentum. And you don't want inconsistencies when you're trying to go as fast as possible out of the hole, because you need it to hook up. You can't have it high. You can have it low, but then it's slow. But you can't have it high because it might blow the tires off. So this line right here is what this video is going to be addressing. And that line is your dome pressure. What's up, guys? And welcome back to High Noon Racing. In today's video, I'm going to show y'all how to get your MAC valves and boost control dialed in right. I'm going to show you all the do's and don'ts, and I'm going to show you important differences between sensors, including Amazon ones. So here, just to let y'all know, I have an $8.99 sensor from Low Dollar Motorsports, a $7.99 sensor, and an Amazon sensor, which has been on the car. That guy right there. So there's a few things I need to change. Number one is that sensor. It's just too erratic. It can't read stable. It can't read, the data's not clean, and that throws off everything that we're trying to accomplish. And we end up losing ET because of it. Where that boost fell off and then had to climb back up just from that small amount of dome pressure drop. That cost us a lot of ET. And, we're not trying to have that. One of the most important reasons why this is going on is because my MAC valves are located right there. Now, I did have them out in the engine bay, but I put them in here thinking that less dirt and debris will get to them. But that caused a problem. And that problem is they're too far away from the wastegates. So what we're going to do is we're going to rerun it, relocate them, and get them as close as possible to the wastegates, put in an $8.99 sensor, do some PID tuning, and see if it yields better results. A couple things I'm going to recommend straight up. Go to Home Depot and buy one of these. This will give you a clean, flush cut, and it'll help your hoses not leak. Now, if you're not willing to do that, you need to just get over it and go to silicone hoses,
And just understand that silicone hoses can blow off, and that can cause damage. But if you're willing to put in the work and do everything right, you'll get good results. These give you incredible results. If you're going to use something like this to cut your hoses, they're going to leak 100%. I mean, I'm telling you, they will leak. Snip. Okay. And now what I want you to do is take a look at the end result here. Yep, it ain't pretty. Alright, now I'm gonna hit it with the other ones. Look at the difference. Now I didn't do it straight because I'm videoing, but y'all get the idea. This is a way cleaner, better cut. If you use this, they're a lot tighter. If you use those plastic fittings, they'll do good for a little bit, but eventually they will leak. In fact, I think the metal fittings leak too. Now, a lot of people have said you'll get way better results switching over to like a DOT approved fitting and just use something like McMaster-Carr to find all your fittings. It's probably a great idea. I'm not going to do that because I think I'll have fine results with these low dollar motorsports ones. I have had one go bad, and I have heard of other people having them go bad, but I think that might actually be from pushing the hose in way too hard. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you know, I had one go bad. I replaced one out of 10, maybe more. First thing I'm gonna do is swap out the Chinese sensor, and I'm gonna show you all the data. This data you're about to look at, I spent hours PID tuning, and this is the best results I can get. Now, what you're looking at is an overlay. You're looking at the commanded dome pressure versus what the actual dome pressure is. And you can see where it tries to track. It does a really good job. That's the best I can get it. That's pretty doggone good, but it's not near good enough if you're trying to really hit numbers at the track. Now, if you're street driving, yeah, this will probably be fine. So you don't got to worry about that. But this video isn't about that. This video is about getting you the best possible setup as possible.
Little trick here. Anytime I'm relocating something where I need to keep track of multiple things so I can rewire it the right way, I use zip ties. So I'll put one zip tie on one end and on the other, then 2 for 2, and then 3 for 3, and 4 for 4. That way when I hook it all back up, I know where each one goes.
Alright, so my car has 2 wastegates. One is right down there. The other one's right there. So what I did was the top hose, the dome pressure hose, I plumbed in to the top over there, ran it over here, and plumbed it into the top over here. Now what I'm going to do is find the middle, make a cut, and add a T. That's what I'm using. So somewhere around in the middle of this, I'll be cutting it, adding that T in, and then trying to get the MAC valves as close as possible.
Decided that I'm gonna go ahead and add in a yeah, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it, connector. That way, if I need to move these things again, I just move it. You know, I just unplug the plug and move it. So here I am crimping the pins onto the wires, and then I'll pin the plug, and then I'll do the other side, and I'll have a nice little connector. I pulled out my laptop and I began PID tuning, and I wasn't exactly happy with what I saw. It's not exactly what I was going for. When you connect to Holley, if you link it with the USB link so it's online, there's an option up top that's called a strip chart. You can enable the strip chart and then configure some things, and you can see data live. It makes it easier so you don't have to save a log, open a log, check the log, save a log, open the log, check the log. You could just see stuff live. Now you see that spike right there? That could be because the P term's reacting too hard. Could also be the target rate limiter's too high. So this makes live tuning stuff like this 10 times easier because you can make the change live, test it, and see it. Now this is already looking way better, but it's not perfect. And what I was going for is perfect. I was about to call it a day for the day working on this thing when all of a sudden it hit me. I bet this thing is still leaking. So I set my sensors to my MAC valves down here on the left. You can custom configure these. And yeah, look at the fill duty cycle. Even when it's stabilized, it's not going to zero. It means there's still a leak. Now you can get confused if your PID settings are fighting each other, which is actually what's happening in this clip, but I needed an example to show you that the boost fill is not going to zero and staying at zero. Right here, the PID settings are so erratic that the vent is getting a little hyperactive and overshooting, which causes the boost fill to start filling. See how it's stabilized there? That's what you're actually looking for. You want it to stabilize. But even here, it's not stabilizing. So there's a leak somewhere. And the only way to find that leak is by taking soapy water and spraying every fitting, every connection, the entire wastegate, everything. And if you see little pinhole bubbles, there you go. That's your leak. So I've had it with these fittings and these lines, and it's time to do something different. So I came up with an idea, and I'm gonna try this idea. Here I got me a nice piece of aluminum TIG welding rod, and I started bending it. I think you can see where this is going. If you can guess where this is going, before I show you in this next clip, drop a comment below. Let's see if you're right. I'd like to see one of these motherlickers leak. Oh yeah, that's right. We're gonna run brake lines for boost reference lines. You wanna talk about hard lines? These are hard lines. Now there is one caveat to these that we're gonna discuss in the end. Basically, the TIG welding rod is your template. And you're not gonna be able to match them tight bends, but as long as you make everything land where it needs to land, you're pretty good. This stuff's pretty flexible. Now this is nickel copper stuff. It's a lot easier to work with, but again, there's one caveat that we're gonna talk about in the end. Now I probably am gonna switch over all my lines over to this. So when I installed these fittings, I'm using red Loctite as a thread sealer. Red Loctite is gonna help. Yeah, it's gonna hold it in there real good, but you gotta remember there's some heat on these and you need it to seal. Red Loctite is gonna make it seal. I'm not scared to have to take these out. If you know, you know. Red Loctite's not a, oh my God, it's welded in there. I don't know why people have that misconception. That's not how it works. But anyways, let's check the data and do a little more PID tuning. So, initial thoughts are pretty good, but now I gotta tune again. So I start tuning. And just to kind of give you guys an overview, the target rate limiter, if you start at 100 PSI, it's gonna be at the max. If you start at maxes and work your way down by having things, it's just way easier to kind of get to where you can start fine tuning. So I'm bouncing numbers around and I'm working the P term down and I'm turning the I term down. The P is how quickly it'll get to the target. The I is how fast it'll correct. So P, if it overshoots, and you're going to need a little bit of I so it can come back. Too much I, and it'll just constantly jump around. So the good news is there is no more leaks. The boost fill solenoid duty cycle can maintain 0 on long holds. It'll stabilize and maintain 0. Now in the script chart, if you set your graph to graph 100 points, it'll give you a lot higher resolution of what's actually going on. It's like a close-up shot, so you can see how it's actually reacting to the ramp. So you can already tell by looking at this how much closer this is following the ramp, how much tighter it actually is. Now the way I'm able to test this with the car off is I'm just hitting the trans brake button. And as soon as you hit it, it's going to go to your boost launch target that you set up in the boost ICF. As soon as you release the trans brake, it's going to go through your boost first timetable. And that's how I'm testing it with the car off. Another thing we got to keep in mind is this is going to react totally different than how it's acting right now with the car off. It could be way off. So the best thing possible you can do is get your PID settings to where they react extremely fast, they have no overshoot at all, and they don't pull back hard. They follow the target, they're fast, and that way, what you're setting up, regardless of what your dome pressure is, because it is going to bounce around once the car is on. The the exhaust pulses are pushing up on the bottom of the wastegate. That creates additional pressure in the dome pressure. You're going to see that in your data. There's no way around that unless maybe you use some sort of baffling. Don't have any baffling, haven't tried it. I just think if you get your PID settings to where they're laser fast, laser accurate, and they're always on target, you don't have to worry about what the conditions actually are, because it's always, you set it up to be the most accurate and the most fast at getting on target. It's going to do that. So the only caveat I can think of for those brake lines I ran is the dissimilar metals, brass fittings, aluminum wastegate, nickel, copper tube, all the dissimilar metals. They're going to heat differently. Like, they're going to heat up differently, so they may leak. And the fix to that would be you switch everything over to stainless. I'm still going to test it as is because I think it's going to work. But I might have to switch everything over to stainless fittings and lines, which is still not a big deal. It's worth it. For me, it's worth it. If you have a system that you could set and forget, it doesn't get better than that. One less thing to worry about on these cars, so much nicer. All right, guys. That's going to do it for this video. We got some other changes we're going to do to scoots before we go back to the track. And, stay tuned. Keep an eye out for those. Has to do with the fuel system.